A blistering hot day today, and great to see Pat and Ron together in the dugout. They're getting ready to throw out the ceremonial first pitch. The Cubs honoring their radio crew here this afternoon. Well, today you had a lot of guys throw off the bullpen mound before the game. Wade Miller, Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor all threw off the mound. But before they did, the Cubs' fifth-round pick, a two-sport star from Notre Dame, Jeff Samardzija, again taken in the fifth round. He is not yet officially signed with the Chicago Cubs, but he threw for pitching coach Larry Rothschild. What an experience being able to pitch here at Wrigley Field, and hopefully one day he'll wear that uniform again and represent the Chicago Cubs. Samardzija met the media afterward, talked about the experience today and about potentially being a two-sport star in the pros.
It was amazing. It was something you don't really think about until it actually happens, and it didn't really hit me until I was walking out, about to go play catch in the outfield. And it's something to remember, and it means a lot to me that they let me come out here and have this experience, and it was great. It felt great. I want to just be a modern day, Jeff Samardzija. I want to just go out and just do what I can do. I don't know where that road leads, and I think it gets a lot of, not comparisons, but you get a lot of talk about it just because he did do it successfully, and I haven't done anything. I've just played baseball and football at college, which is nothing compared to what Bo Jackson did. So, all I'm asking is just the opportunity to pursue both sports as much as I can, and hopefully make the right decisions along the way, and see what happens. And if you go into anything you do worried about getting injured, then you're probably going to get injured. So, all I can do is go out there and play head over heels, going crazy, and doing everything I can do to win whatever it's a baseball or football game. And if something unfortunately happens, it happens. But right now I'm not too worried about that, and I'm just going out and trying to have some fun and play the best of my ability, and take what comes with it.
Interesting combination, a wide receiver and a pitcher. Hey, Father's Day's coming up, and Dad, Greg Maddux, hitting some ground balls to his son Chase before this one. We'll talk about today's starting pitchers when we come back. June 16th, 1997, and the Cubs beat the Crosstown White Sox in their first interleague game that counted since the '06 World Series. Evanston native Kevin Foster got the win. Thank you, Culver's Frozen Custard and Butterburger Restaurants. Starters today, it's lefty day at the ballpark. Glendon Rush has struggled this year as a starter, but 3-0 lifetime against Detroit, even though he hasn't faced the Tigers in a long time. Detroit will go with 28-year-old lefty Nate Robertson. He works for Detroit in what will be his Wrigley Field debut. So here we go. The Cubs take on their last World Series opponent, the Detroit Tigers. We'll have all the interleague action coming up next here on WGN Sports. Stay with us.
The leadoff man has been brought to you by Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs, and by Culver's frozen custard and butterburger restaurants.
Is a presentation of WGN Sports.
We're at Wrigley Field this afternoon. The line from the Wizard of Oz, Lions and Tigers and Bears, oh my. We have two of the three. The Tigers are in town against the Baby Bears. It's the Chicago Cubs hosting the Detroit Tigers. Interleague play continues here in 06 here on WGN Sports. Welcome to Wrigley Field. Bob Brenly and Len Casper with you. This is supposed to be the friendly confines. Unfortunately, it has been too friendly to the opponents the last couple of years. The Cubs under 500 at home once again.
Yeah, the old axiom, Len, is split on the road, take 2 out of 3 at home, and you look up at the end of the season, your numbers should be good enough to at least get into the postseason, but that's not been the case with the Cubs this year. 5 games under here at Wrigley Field. 262 batting average. They have not homered much. They don't have a lot of home run hitters on this ball club. It's really been a struggle at home. It's really been a struggle on the road as well.
The wind is blowing straight out today. We will likely see some home runs. Got to keep the Tigers in the ballpark. They're a powerful team. They strike out a lot, and man, do they pitch.
I'm telling you, it's all about pitching and defense. When you win at the major league level, it's pitching and defense. They've gotten great pitching. Their defense, starting with Pudge Rodriguez behind the plate, has been solid, if not spectacular. The best record in the major leagues, the best ERA in the major leagues. This team is really good.
All right, it's the Cubs hosting the Tigers. Lefties today, Glendon Rush. We don't know what's coming up after today, but he starts today.
He starts today, and you mentioned this is a very aggressive, swinging Tigers team. If Glendon can get ahead in the count, expand that strike zone, he has a chance to do well.
Nate Robertson, a left-hander, goes for Detroit this afternoon. Now our national anthem.
Singing and playing of our national anthem. so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Chicago Cubs baseball, brought to you by refreshingly smooth Bud Light, always worth it. The Illinois Lottery, no matter how you play the Illinois Lottery. Have a ball. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Chicago Cubs. Comcast, catch the Cubs home games on WGN in HDTV on Comcast. Call for a great offer. And by Southwest Airlines. Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, Southwest can get you there with over 3,000 nonstop daily flights to over 60 destinations. Visit southwest.com today.
Today, but going to get a lot hotter the next couple of days here in Chicago. Cubs hosting the Tigers. Dusty Baker's managed against Jim Leyland many times. Prior to this year, Leyland's entire managerial career, over 2,200 games in the National League. So, Bob, he should be very comfortable managing here in a National League park, even though he has an American League club.
You know, personally, I feel some of Jim Leyland's managerial talents are wasted in the American League, so I'm sure he looks forward to these interleague matchups.
Dusty said yesterday this is the first time he's faced the Tigers since the end of his playing days in '86 with the Oakland Athletics. His manager that year, Tony La Russa. Today's Cubs broadcast in high definition from Wrigley Field is sponsored by Comcast. And it's also presented in Dolby 5.1 digital surround sound. Cubs take the field behind left-hander Glendon Rush. Tigers lineup: Chicago native Curtis Granderson with his first ever game here on the north side. Blanco, Pudge Rodriguez, former member of the White Sox Maglio Ordonez, Carlos Guillen at short, Marcus Thames red hot, he's in left, Chris Shelton, Brandon Inge, and Nate Robertson, who's looking for his first big league hit.
Let's take a look at the Cubs defensively. Brought to you by Pepsi. Merton, Pierre, and Jones across the outfield. Ramirez and Cedeno on the left side of the infield. Todd Walker back at his original position at second base to make room for Phil Nevin at first base today. Henry Blanco will do the catching for left-hander Glendon Rush. The numbers have not been pretty for Glendon Rush this year, but as I mentioned in the open, if he can find a way to get that first strike in there and then expand the zone, this is a very aggressive swinging ball club that will chase bad pitches out of the strike zone.
The arbiters for this one: Bill Welke is back at the plate, the crew chief Tim McClellan at first, Marty Foster, Field and Culbreth at second and third respectively. So it'll be the left-handed hitting Curtis Granderson, who attended Thornton Fractional South High. Still lives in the Chicago area in the offseason. Third-round pick of the Tigers out of UIC back in 2002. And the first pitch of the ball game is just outside. There's a strike. Winds out of the southwest at 16 miles per hour, blowing straight out. 80 degrees.
Good hitting weather.
Yeah, this is going to be a challenge for a guy who has given up 16 home runs, tied for the most in the National League. One-two on the way is outside. Glendon will likely end up back in the bullpen pretty soon. You have Mark Pryor. We still don't know when he will officially be back. It could be Sunday. Cubs will likely make an announcement after the ball game today on Pryor's status. Kerry Wood is feeling pretty good. He's on the disabled list. So room will need to be made here soon in the Cubs rotation. If Carlos Marmol starting tomorrow, and either Pryor or Sean Marshall on Sunday. 3-2 pitch. Jammed him that time, and it's over Ramirez, and that is a fair ball. Granderson slides in safely at second. Well, he had to get a lot of tickets this weekend. He said not so much today with the work day, but there'll be a lot of family and friends here tomorrow and Sunday, and his first Wrigley Field at bat is a bloop double.
Yeah, Granderson, some unusual numbers for a leadoff hitter. He was hitting .282 coming into play today. Had 9 home runs and 32 RBIs. Led the team with 40 walks. He leads the team with 75 strikeouts. And leads it off here with a bloop double down the left field line. Have to keep an eye on him back there at second base. This Tigers team doesn't run a lot. Usually it's more of a hit and run, bunt and run situation than a straight steal, but you have to believe Jim Leyland back in the National League. He's going to want to push buttons today if at all possible.
First year for Leyland, the Tigers. Placido Polanco doesn't strike out much and doesn't walk much either. Big time contact hitter.
Kind of surprised we're not seeing Polanco squaring to bunt, something Jim Leyland did very effectively in his days at Pittsburgh. When Jay Bell was his number 2 hitter, he led the National League in sack bunts every year. Of course, Polanco handles the bat very well, and perhaps Leyland has enough confidence in him that he'll shoot the ball to the right side of the field and advance Granderson to third anyway.
The all-time series right now being led by Detroit. They've won 5 of the first 8. in the regular season. Only the second time ever these two teams have met here in the regular campaign. The last time was 2000. And the Cubs lost 2 of 3 that series. They've met a lot in the World Series, but not in the last half century or so. Popped up, and Nevin does not have room. The first 2 World Series the Cubs won were against Detroit, 1907 and then in 08. And then the first 2 World Series Detroit won in 35 and 45 were against the Cubs. Pulled way foul. We'll talk about the 45 World Series tomorrow. Andy Pafko will be along to handle the 7th inning stretch.
See Andy Pafko's picture every day when we walk into that Cubs clubhouse on the third base side. His is the banner hanging right outside the clubhouse door.
Rush again. Outside 2-2. Pudge Rodriguez is on deck. He and Ordonez 3 and 4, both hitting over 300. The kick and a 2-2. Blanco sends a fly ball to deep center. Pierre way back on it. It's just over his head. Granderson will be stopped at third. He had to hold up. Looked like Pierre had a play on it, but the wind going to carry everything likely out to the barrier today. So back-to-back doubles, second and third, no outs.
It looked like a routine fly ball to shallow center field off the bat of Polanco. Just continued to carry deeper and deeper until eventually Pierre ran out of room out there in center field, all the way back onto the track. Short hops the vines. Granderson had gone back to second base to tag up, assuming that Pierre was going to make the catch, but when he's not able to come up with it, Granderson holds the third.
So it's Ivan Rodriguez, who's 5 for 14 in his career against Glendon Rush. Again, Glendon 3-0 with a 286 against the Tigers, but he hasn't faced them since '98. Pierre back, warning track again, and he hauls it in. Both runners tag. A deep sac fly for Rodriguez. Granderson scores the first run. Polanco now at third. Well, partner, it's a day to hit the ball in the air. I think we've learned that very quickly.
No doubt. Swing straight up today. Wind is howling out of here to center field. Pudge Rodriguez, always a very aggressive hitter, gets that fastball down and in. Looked like he thought he got enough of it that time. Once again, runs Pierre back into the vines, both runners tagging, and they'll advance easily. That's the 7th first inning run that Glendon Rush has given up in 8 starts this year.
Maglio Ordonez, a batter. Pretty simple with a guy they call Mags. If he's healthy, he is a very dangerous guy, but staying off the DL has been a problem for him. But off to a very good start this year.
There's a number I mentioned just a moment ago. Has allowed 7 first inning runs in 8 games started this season. Ordonez is a guy that, as you mentioned, when he's just red hot right now, the book on him is usually to try to crowd him in on the hands, but he will make adjustments in that batter's box. Very important that Henry Blanco keep an eye on Ordonez's feet. He will make adjustments. He'll open up his stance. He'll back off the plate if he feels you're going to try to come inside on him.
Outside corner on a curveball. Ordonez took umbrage with that call from Bill Welke.
Good off-speed pitch away. And once you establish that you're going to come inside on Maglio Ordonez, it opens up that outside part of the plate. That was a big breaking ball that time. Backdoor breaking ball. Might have nipped the corner.
2-2 is a bouncer hit foul. Knocked down by Gene Lamont. So some White Sox connections. We should know Jim Leland does not have a bench coach. But he and Gene Lamont have been together for a long time, and I'm sure they talk strategy quite a bit. But Jim Leland kind of knows what he wants. Golfed into left center, and it's 2-0. As Polanco scores, Ordonez now with 44 RBIs. So the first two guys got on, and both have scored here in the opening inning.
Good hitters find ways to get the barrel of the bat on the ball. That's a pitch down and in off the plate. Ordonez just drops the bat head on it, pulls that left arm in close to his body, finds a way to get the barrel of the bat on the ball, and a clean single into left center field. Good hit and run combination here. Jim Leland likes to use Guillen to play hit and run. He's another guy that handles the bat extremely well.
Carlos Guillen, a switch hitter. About the same from both sides in his career, but not this year. Hitting just over 200 from the right side. Yeah, back on Jim Leland. In spring training, he was quoted in one of the Detroit papers saying, quote, "Normally I don't like a lot of input from my coaches during the game." He's been doing this a long time. And it's a different game, as you mentioned, in the American League than in the National League.
Well, I know in his days in the National League, his bench coach was the Marlboro Man.
Keeping it warm on the dugout. Outside corner.
This is that 2-1 count. Jim Leland is very traditional in that respect. This has traditionally been a real good hit and run count. In their last ball game against the Toronto Blue Jays, 4 times they played hit and run. 3 times were on a 2-1 count. Not this time.
2-2, it's even. Only day game today. Everything else under the lights. One National League game tonight. Rockies and the Cardinals. Everything else interleague action. The Cubs won 3 in a row in Cincinnati last weekend. So a very positive finish to their road trip, but then they came back home and lost all 3 to Houston. Inside, full count. "28 pitches already for Glendon." One and one since rejoining the starting rotation. Runner moving, and this one is fouled off to the right. Nice catch by that fan. We generally say bring your glove, but that guy didn't have to, and I think he stole it away from a kid who had a glove. What's up with that? All right, that's.
There you go.
Well, your mantra is give it to the kid.
Give it to the kid.
Another 3-2 swing and a miss, and Ordonez will just walk into an out. Kind of jogging towards second. Strike him out, throw him out, double play. Tigers get 2, Cubs coming up. second today. Ramirez batting third and playing third. He's 3 for 3 against Robertson. Nevin, Merton, and Jones in the middle. Cedeno, Blanco, and Rush at the bottom.
And the Tigers defensively, Marcus Thames in left field, Curtis Granderson in center, Maglio Ordonez in right, Brandon Inge, Carlos Guillen, Placido Polanco, Chris Shelton across the infield. That guy, his name is Ivan Rodriguez. Everybody knows him as Puds. He's up to his usual tricks this year. He's thrown out 44% of base stealers, loves to pick on the bases. He'll be behind the plate for left-hander Nate Robertson. Robertson, solid numbers on the season, very good against left-handed hitters. They've only batted a .211 average against him this year, 1 home run. See his numbers on the season.
Now it's the first time he's ever faced the Cubs, but he has faced 5 Cub hitters previously, and he hits Juan Pierre. Pierre with a career best 4 steals yesterday. I'm sure he'll try for another. He has 24 on the year.
Fastball just continues to run up and in on Pierre. Catches him on the back of that right arm from our Southwest.com RoboCam. When you lose sight of the pitch behind the batter, that's not a good thing. It's a good thing because we get a runner on base, but hopefully no damage done to Juan Pierre. This should be a fun matchup to watch today. Pudge Rodriguez behind the plate.
And Robertson threw it away on that quick snap throw. Pierre takes second. Tigers do a pretty good job defensively, tied for 4th in the American League in fielding percentage, but that throwing error on the pitcher puts Pierre in scoring position.
Well, Robertson has a very good, very quick step-off move to first base. I never could understand why a pitcher shows it on his first pickoff attempt. Would seem to me that if you show a couple of slow moves over there to first base, you could bait the runner into taking an extra step and then drop that move on him.
Big leg kick and a first pitch strike on Todd Walker. Robertson, 28 years old, from Wichita, Kansas. And the first time Walker has faced him.
Against the lefties, Robertson will feature a fastball and a slider and a lot of sliders against left-handed hitters. He'll mix in a changeup against the righties, but really loves that slider to the left-handed hitters. Over half the pitches this season to lefties have been sliders.
Two strikes on Walker. Right-handed hitter on deck, Ramirez. Outside. Tigers got 2 in the top of this inning. The Cubs trying to strike right back. Fly ball, not deep at all, and Thames comes over to make the catch. That's out number 1, and Ramirez will come up 3 for 3 with a home run in his career against Nate Robertson, who began his career with Florida and then was sent to Detroit in January of '03.
Limited history between these two, but Aramis has definitely had the better of it.
And the pitch, he is low, ball 1. Couple of 1-run losses to end that series against Houston. They led for most of the day yesterday, but the Astros got 2 runs in the 8th to take a 3-2 victory. Cubs had a runner at third, no outs in the 7th after Bynum tripled, but they couldn't get that extra run, and it came back to haunt them. Those little things have haunted the Cubs pretty much all year. 3-0, Nevin on deck.
3 consecutive straight changeups to Aramis Ramirez here with a base open. Robertson really picks his spots and which hitters he is willing to challenge and which guys he's willing to pitch around, and obviously he's not going to give in to Aramis Ramirez. 3 changeups in a row.
That time a strike on a fastball, 3-1. Carlos Zambrano got a tough no decision yesterday. 7 innings, 1 run. Kind of working through a dead arm period. Big swing, 3-2. We noticed his velocity was all over the place on his fastball yesterday, but he was very effective.
He showed some fastball in the mid to upper 90s, but he consistently pitched right around 90 to 92, occasionally dropped down into the 80s with his fastball.
So his arm felt heavy, but he is not concerned about it. He has thrown a lot of pitches. Long look by Robertson.
Well, if he threw Aramas 3 consecutive changeups to start the sequence, then a 3-0 fastball for a strike, came back with another changeup to go 3-2, I got to believe he's going to throw a change.
Hit in the air the other way. Ordonez over into right center. Hobson makes a catch. Pierre tags and heads to third. So he pulled the string again, and Ramirez hit it pretty well, but for an out.
Ramirez did get another changeup up and out over the plate. A good pitch to drive the other way. Book on Robertson is the guys that give him the most trouble in an opposing lineup are right-handed hitters that like to hit the ball to the opposite field. He likes to work away, show in, and then work away.
Two outs in the inning. Not only has Phil Nevin faced Robertson, but he's already faced him once this year when he was with Texas. And he's 1 for 3 with a double. Phil had a nice series against Houston, went 5 for 9. In fact, I would think Nevin could give his teammates a pretty good scouting report on probably all 3 guys this weekend. We'll look and see if he has faced Verlander, who pitches tomorrow. We know he knows Kenny Rogers. They were teammates last year for a little bit in Texas.
I'm sure we're going to talk about him a lot as the day goes on, but just watch the way Pudge Rodriguez moves behind home plate. You have to have some strong legs to do some of the things he does physically behind the plate. Really moves quietly. He'll start out on the inside corner, take one big step to his right with his right foot and slide his entire body out to that outside corner, all the while in that low crouch.
11 Gold Gloves. It's the all-time record for catchers. Outside, and Nevin will take off that shin guard and head to first. Hit batter, an error, and a walk in the inning. First and third, and it's Matt Merton, who's been a lot better against lefties than righties. We talked yesterday about Freddie Bynum. He could be nearing a platoon type situation out in left, but today it's Merton against a lefty, and another lefty coming up Sunday, Kenny Rogers. And a guy who throws about 180 miles an hour. Sometimes a legend, you just need to see a guy pitch, because with Justin Verlander, you just keep hearing about how hard he throws. But I guess he's hit triple digits with a fastball. So we'll just say he throws hard.
Throws real hard.
That'll be an interesting matchup. Carlos Marmol with his second big league start for the Cubs tomorrow. And then Kenny Rogers against either Mark Pryor or Sean Marshall on Sunday. Marmol got a win in his first big league start in Cincinnati, and he was very impressive. Check swing, and Matt went. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, Matty doesn't think so. We'll get another look at it here. Yes, he did. Of course, hitters never think they went too far, and pitchers always think they did.
The kick and the 1-2. Fought that one off.
I mentioned a couple of hitters ago that the guys that seem to have the best success against Robertson are right-handed hitters that go the opposite way, which was the approach that Matt Merton used so well early in the season.
Trying to put the Cubs on the board. Rainbow to right. And it's Ordonez to make the catch. No hits in the inning, but the Cubs strand 2. It's 2-0 Detroit. The second inning, and it's left fielder Marcus Thames, who has an 8-game hitting streak. Good power numbers. The 0-1 from Rush is just off the plate inside.
Now, Thames made his major league debut back in 1902. That'd make him a really old guy.
Drives that ball to deep right. Jones will watch, and it is out as Thames hits his 13th homer of the year.
What I was trying to say was, in his first at bat in the major leagues, he hit a 2-run bomb off of Randy Johnson at Yankee Stadium. Big time power to all fields. Good looking 5-tool athlete. This is one of those days at Wrigley you do not have to pull the ball to get a home run. Just get solid contact to any part of the ballpark. You're going to get a huge assist from the wind. I don't think Thames needed much help on this one. A rocket shot to right field.
That's their 88th home run of the year. And the third in the American League. A strike on Chris Shelton. Well, you mentioned 1902. The Tigers started up in 1901. As the American League began its history. So the Cubs were an original member of the National League, the senior circuit, and the Tigers at the beginning of the 20th century in the junior circuit. Two and one on Chris Shelton. Got off to a red hot start, but he has struggled here in the month of June, hitting $159. He hit 5 home runs in his first 5 games and then 9 in the first 13. Three and 2. The line and the delivery. Another one to right. And it's Jones playing it off the wall, and another extra base hit. The Tigers have 5 hits. 4 have been extra base hits, 3 doubles and a home run.
Fastball up and out over the plate. Shelton normally a guy that tries to pull the ball, but in the 2-strike count he just goes with it the opposite way. And once again, any solid contact with the ball in the air today, it's going to have a chance. That time halfway up the vines in right field.
So Larry out to discuss things with Glendon Rush. Well, it was a very busy day on the field. It is always great to see former Cubs catcher Jody Davis, who is managing for the first time in the Midwest League, the Peoria Chiefs, Cubs Class A affiliate. So he brought his whole team over. They're playing Kane County this weekend. And they've already clinched a postseason berth. You finish in the top 2 spots in the first or second half, you get in the postseason, and they're tied with Kane County for first. So 3 games left this weekend and a chance to outright win the first half. And Jody gave me a couple good notes. Number 1, he said he stole a base off you. I think he said he had 7 career steals, so he wanted me to remind you that he stole one off you. We'll have to look it up.
A lot of guys did.
And number 2, I said, what's been the biggest challenge as a manager? He said, well, you go through stuff the first time around, infield in or back. He said, when I played, they just told me what to do. Now I have to make those decisions.
Yeah, that can be a little bit of an awesome task. Situations arise in a game, and as we well know, it happens fast. Things happen quickly when you're down in that dugout, and when everybody's looking at you to make a decision, you don't really have time to sit and process. You know, you have to be ahead of the game just a little bit, and I'm sure as time has gone on, Jody has gotten ahead of the game. He's still smiling.
That's right. Towering blast down the left field line, and it is hooking foul. Brandon Inge crushed it off the back fence.
Cut fastball down and in. Inge with a little body language there. He knows he got so far out in front of that ball it was going to continue to hook foul, so he didn't bother to run it out. Bill Welke pushed him out of the way to get a look at it.
He missed it by a couple of inches. 2-2 on Brandon Inge. Crickets. And he held up.
Boy, that's the pitch that Glendon Rush is going to have to get in this ball game to be effective. That little off-speed pitch on the corner, maybe just a hair off of the outside corner, and so far he hasn't gotten one call from Bill Welke behind home plate.
Another one in the air, pop up, and Todd Walker will handle it. So it's the pitcher Robertson, who is a right-handed hitter. Oh for 8 with 3 strikeouts in his career. And a strike from Rush. The Cubs all time against the American League in interleague play 67 and 66. Including 39 and 29 here at Wrigley. Just outside. 2-1. Leadoff man Granderson on deck. Glendon just keeps missing off that outside corner. out in the inning. Thames with a leadoff home run. Big swing. 3-2.
Well, if your skipper's going to let you swing away in an interleague game, you might as well swing hard in case you hit it. Very picturesque swing, just 2 seconds tardy.
Called strike 3, and Robertson out. Ball did get out of the glove of Blanco. He ends up throwing to Nevin. Talked about the busy day. Time to have a ball with the Illinois Lottery. Adam Morrison, 6'8", 205 pounds, a forward from Gonzaga. He's going to work out here in Chicago for the Bulls. Hearing he's going to be a lottery pick, but taking some hacks. It's always fun to watch the basketball guys take swings.
Don't quit your day job, Adam.
Granderson in the air. Jones chasing. And it'll knock in a run. Granderson on his way to third. Double and a triple for Granderson in his first 2 at bats. And he knocks in Shelton to make it 4-0. Looks like Guzman is ready and Dusty's out. Going to be a short one once again for Glendon Rush. Five extra base hits here in the first 2 innings for the Tigers. So Guzman comes in, second inning from Wrigley, and we'll be back. To 73. Boy, looks great. Recently spent some time in the hospital, but back working, and he and Pat Hughes throwing out the first pitches this afternoon. They're working together in their 11th season. Ron's been broadcasting with the Cubs a little bit longer than Pat. They got the big fans working over there. It's a hot one today. Angel Guzman trying to get the final out here in the top of the second. Fans really let Glendon Rush have it after he gave up 6 hits and 4 runs to this point. Granderson is at third as Guzman faces Placido Polanco. Already 4-0 Detroit. This one might get out of play. It will. Good effort by Jock Jones. Boy, everything Detroit has hit has been in the air. No ground ball outs. And again, this is a day to put the ball in the air with that jet stream straight out to center. Now we say that, but you don't really change your swing on a day like this, do you?
No, if anything, you may mentally, in the on-deck circle, think about your at-bat. I want to make him get the ball up. I don't want to swing at anything down low today. I want to keep the ball off the ground, try to elevate the ball. But physically, if you change your swing, that's when you really open yourself up to bad habits.
Swing and a miss, and Blanco strikes out. Guzman gets a final out, but not before Detroit gets a couple more off Glendon Rush. Robertson now spotted a 4-run lead. Jock Jones, a career .258 hitter with 13 home runs and 380 at bats against Detroit. So another guy who can really give his offensive teammates a good scouting report on the Tiger pitchers next week. Cleveland and Minnesota on the road. Hit hard as he hooks it into the corner. Jock taking a look, and it'll be a double to lead off the second. Cubs' first hit. .200th career double for Jock Jones.
A good start here to the second inning for the Cubs. This is going to be one of those days you're going to have to score a bunch of runs to win a ball game. Gets his body turned around, opens that front hip, and jerks the ball down into the right field corner for an easy double. Hey, you talk about that scouting report. I mean, not to take anything away from the advanced scouts, because they do a tremendous job and they file very detailed reports and the videotape that you can see on every opposing pitcher. But when you hear it from one of your teammates who's actually stood in the batter's box and seen the pitches, that's what's going to have the most impact.
Strike on Cedeno. Ronnie 2 for 11 on this homestand. High and away. Well, the Cubs are going to need to slug today. They trail early 4-0. As a team, the Cubs came in with a slugging percentage of .386. And that's last in the National League. The league average is .426. Bouncer up the middle, backhanded play by Polanco, and the throw is just in time to get Cedeno. Top of the hour. Let's pause for station identification. Well, great to have you with us today. Bob Brenly, Len Casper, and our WGN Sports crew. Game 1 of a 3-game weekend set. We'll have the finale for you on Sunday as well, right here on WGN. Okay, the Cubs are going to have to hit for some power today, but the other thing they have to do is they have to hit with runners in scoring position. They had Juan Pierre at second in the first with nobody out and couldn't get him in. Got to take advantage of these situations. You have the number 8 hitter at the plate, the pitcher on deck, 1 out. Michael Barrett had his appeal heard today, suspended for 10 games for his actions against the White Sox. But that's not why he's not in the lineup. Suffered an injury in his first at bat. We noted it yesterday. He had a swing and just didn't look comfortable. I guess it's in the side area or the back. But he did remain in and finished the game yesterday. But he looked pretty awkward on this swing. In fact, he ended up with a sac fly in that at bat.
You can see him grimace in pain. Just didn't look comfortable, limping down the first baseline after the sac fly.
That one gets past Inge, and Jones scores 4-1. That is a hit for Henry Blanco. He is now 5 for his last 10. And we're going to see a lot of Henry when Michael Barrett does serve his suspension. So an RBI for Blanco is 7th of the year. And it's now a 4-1 game.
Take a look at Brandon Inge's 12th error of the year from our Southwest RoboCam. Hard hit, one hopper right at him. Just tries to play it off to the side a little bit. Eats him up and goes on into left field. I believe it has been called a hit, excuse me. So he only has 11 errors on the season.
Bunted by Guzman, and Rodriguez will pick it up. Polanco covering first. That's a sacrifice for Guzman.
Nice job by Angel Guzman, a guy that rarely gets an opportunity to swing that bat anymore. He does have 5 at-bats on the season, just dumps it out there in front of home plate. As you might expect, Pudge Rodriguez taking charge of the play, throwing on to first base for the easy out.
So it's Juan Pierre with 2 outs.
We mentioned the 11 errors for Brandon Inge at third base. Carlos Guillen at shortstop with 12 errors. No other Tiger has more than 4. And in Inge's defense, he was signed as a catcher when he came out of college. Played some first, played some third, played a little outfield.
That was a nice defensive play by the pitcher Robertson on a ball that was hit hard by Juan Pierre. The Cubs inching their way back. They get 1. They trail by 3. RBI single, making it 4-1. And great to see Barbara Germain from Mediacom here taking in the ball game at Wrigley Field today as a guest of the Cubs. A beautiful day for a ball game. Now, you and I talk about always bringing a jacket just in case, but would this weekend be an exception? You still have one in your car, right?
I have one in the car, but I don't think you're going to need a jacket this weekend. Portable fan might be the way to go.
Bucket of ice water. So Guzman making his second relief appearance. And starting the third inning. He struck out Blanco to end the second. Tigers with 2 in each of the first 2 innings. Fouled back. Seeing some Tiger fans in the crowd. Of course, the Tigers used to play in one of the oldest ballparks in the majors. Now they play at Comerica Park. A lot of Tiger fans want to get a taste of Wrigley this weekend. Wrigley and Fenway, those are the big two you think about. I guess Yankee Stadium, although it was renovated. The Big Shea, one of the older parks in baseball, and it was built in the 60s along with Dodger Stadium. Twins fan will see the Metrodome coming up next weekend.
Old school logo there.
Swing and a miss and a strikeout. Tomorrow, June 17th, the Cubs and Tigers will battle at 3:05 on Culver's Day here at Wrigley Field. The first 10,000 fans will receive a $2 Culver's gift card. Good at any Chicagoland Culver's restaurant. Culver's Restaurants. Taste how much we care. Ordonez pops it up down that right field line, and Jones hustling with a nice catch through the bullpen. It was a long run for Jock Jones.
Jock Jones, the only guy that can make a play on that ball. Todd Walker, in his pursuit of it, looked right up into the sun that's shining here. He lost it completely. You see Walker peel off. That's going to be an over-the-shoulder running catch for Nevin. Jock Jones, the best chance to make the play, comes streaking into the picture, and from our Southwest.com RoboCam, you see him go into that Tigers bullpen, get some help from Todd Jones and others down there.
Got the jacket on today in the bullpen. Those pitchers like to stay warm.
Jock Jones running into Todd Jones.
And a former Cub, Lloyd McClendon, their bullpen coach. Former Pirates manager.
Yeah, a lot less stress down there as the bullpen coach. Not all you have to worry about is making sure you don't send a pitcher into the game with mustard on his jersey. Everything else is gravy down there.
Always good to see Mac. WGN, of course, batted right-handed in the first inning. His second at bat, left-handed against the righty Guzman. Two-two pitch, and it's now full. Good velocity, 95 from Guzman. Began the season with Iowa, recalled in late April. Made 4 starts here before he was sent back to AAA. Struggled with his command as a starter the first time around the big leagues. Now working out of the bullpen as the Cubs long man. Well, he's faced 4 hitters and he has struck out 3 of them. It is 4-1 Detroit midway in the third. By Walgreens, a pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. 11-year-old Tommy Lauletta of Chicago. Tricia Black, 8 years old, from Wakanda, Illinois. Having a great day at Wrigley thanks to our friends at Walgreens and the Chicago Cubs. For more info on how to be a celebrity bat kid, it's WGNradio.com. Walker pops it foul and inch over, and it's behind the dugout. One strike on Walker. He'll be followed by Ramirez and Nevin here in the third inning. And a base hit to right for Todd Walker. Leadoff single here in the third.
Robertson, as we mentioned at the top of the show, had been extremely tough on left-handed hitters this year. Jock Jones with a double. Now Todd Walker with a single. A couple of left-handed hitters that found pitches to their liking.
Ramirez flied to right. His first time up. Cubs are going to need a big-time performance from their bullpen today to keep the Tigers in a manageable area. Guzman has looked very good, retiring all four he's faced thus far. And you need the offense to, at some point, really get to Nate Robertson. They did get a run against him in the second. Cubs have struggled overall at home, but particularly in the daytime. They are 5-14 in day games here at Wrigley. 11-23 overall in day games. Bob, how tough mentally is it for a club to get down so early against a pretty powerful offense like this Detroit team?
Well, it can be extremely tough when you're going through a rough stretch of the season and you're losing a lot of ball games and you fall behind early. You have to avoid that here we go again syndrome.
Blanco shading his eyes and making the catch.
You know, there's a lot of baseball left to play here today. There's a lot of baseball left to play in the season, but when you consistently fall behind early in the ball game and have to swim upstream to get back in the ball game, at some point it can wear on you mentally as a team. Here we go again. And certainly from judging from the body language in that third base dugout, I would imagine that there's some thoughts of here we go again.
Nevin batting with a man on and one out. And he pops it up. And it's Ordonez, a right fielder. They put it away.
On Wednesday, June 28th, watch the Cubs take on the Brewers at 1:20. The first 6,000 children 13 and under will receive an exclusive Chicago Cubs Lend the Bear from Build-A-Bear Workshop. Compliments of Bank of America. For more information, visit Cubs.com.
Always smiling.
Yeah, why not?
Here's Matt Merton. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, the Bear's just like you, always smiling. And you did have the little white Cubs bow tie on earlier today,
right.
But yeah, I noticed you took it off.
This is not the day to be buttoned up, I'll tell you that. 88 when the first pitch was thrown. Robertson off the hill, and he'll go to first to get Matt Merton. So the Cubs leave one. It's 4-1. Beautiful Wrigley Field. It is 4-1 Tigers as the visitors bat here in the 4th inning. Marcus Thames hit a leadoff home run in the 2nd. That one off the end of his bat. It is pronounced Thames. T-E-M-S. We've heard Tim's, but I had a chance to hear it from him personally today. Thames. That's right. Wynn Griffiths knows that. The Thames. Born in Wales. Our great camera operators. 2 strikes a count on Thames. Will be followed by Shelton and then Inge here in the 4th inning. Guzman came on in relief of Glendon Rush in the 2nd. A rough day for Glendon Rush. Boy, Thames strikes out, and they have not been able to figure out Angel Guzman to this point. Chicago Cubs baseball here on WGN, your official summer baseball station, is brought to you by refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it. That's 4 strikeouts for Guzman. He has faced 5 hitters. Now going after Chris Shelton. Good breaker for a strike. How important is it for not only a pitcher but a position player, any guy who comes up, gets a little taste of the big leagues, whether he performs well or not, then goes back to the minors and returns for the 2nd time? That has to be huge to know when you come back that you've at least gone through it.
Well, and in my eyes, even more importantly, the first time up you get a little taste of how good the big leagues really are. Then you go back down to the minor leagues and get on that big silver dog and ride for 10 hours and do your own laundry after the game and eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the spread, and you start to hunger for that big league life again, and you know in order to have that life you need to be more consistent with your effort. And I think that's what we've been seeing, at least today, from Angel Guzman. Really pounding that strike zone.
Missing here. 3 balls and a strike.
I mean, even a veteran player like Tony Womack said, I didn't want to be in AAA any longer than I had to. He had great numbers down in Iowa before the Cubs recalled him here to the major leagues, and even Tony said, I didn't want to be there any longer than I had to be there.
Tigers' first base runner against Guzman. It's a 1-out walk. Larry was out in that bullpen a lot this morning. Jeff Samardzija, the Cubs' 5th-round pick, through today. Wade Miller, Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor. Talked to Kerry before he threw, and by the way, a happy birthday. Kerry Wood turning 29 here today. He feels good, and assuming everything went well today, he might be ready next weekend when he's eligible to come off the disabled list. The Cubs want to make sure that when he does come back, he'll be ready to go every 5th day. Don't know if he'll make a minor league rehab assignment outing or if he'll just continue to work with the big league club and throw a sim game type situation, but he has had to battle through some stiffness in that right shoulder post surgery. Felt bad. I talked to him earlier and I forgot it was his birthday. Then I got up here and I remembered. So,
well, he's not quite to that age where you don't mind people forgetting your age or your birthday. Right.
Kick and the pitch. Fouled right at the plate. We saw Larry Rothschild. Should note that the Tigers reportedly went after him pretty hard in the offseason. But Larry declined those overtures and remained with the Cubs. Chuck Hernandez ended up getting hired as the pitching coach for Jim Leyland. Pulled down the left field line by Inge and just out of play. Fan got a hand on it.
A lot of former Pirates on Jim Leyland's coaching staff. Rafael Belliard played in Pittsburgh, as did Andy Van Slyke. We mentioned Lloyd McClendon, Don Slott, Sluggo, the hitting instructor for the Tigers. All former players under Jim Leyland in Pittsburgh.
Still 1-2 on Brandon Inge. The next pitch gets away from Henry. So a passed ball charged to Henry Blanco, and that is his first of the year.
.95-mile-an-hour fastball that misses his spot by about 4 feet. Tough to react to that if you're Henry Blanco. You're expecting a sinking fastball on the outside corner in the low 90s, and Guzman airmails one all the way across the plate up and into the hitter. I'm sure Henry tell you he should have had that ball. He looked a little casual going after it. That's the best fastball we've seen from Guzman in this game.
Angel ready at the belt. It was 2-2 pitch, and we'll do it again. At the pitching zone, Guzman in this at bat against Inge. Another 2-2, and he struck him out. Blanco will apply the tag. 5 Ks for Guzman.
Took a straight changeup that time from Guzman. Got Inge way out in front. Ball pops out of Henry's glove, and for the second time in the ballgame, a Tiger batter does not run after a drop third strike. I mean, that's kind of a universal rule, American League and National League.
Yeah, I was going to say.
With first base unoccupied, you can run on a drop third strike, but for the second time in the game, a Tiger hitter concedes his right to go to first base.
Swung on and missed. Nate Robertson caught looking in the second. Guzman's career high in strikeouts 7 in his second outing. There's 5 already. And is closing in on possibly a 6th.
If he throws one more high fastball, he will get his 6th right here. With that big swing that Robertson is featuring, he can't catch up to that high gas.
Prolongs the at bat. Still 2 strikes. That's a good idea to protect your neck. Make sure you have lots of sunscreen today.
Fashionable and functional.
Good combination. Make sure you hydrate. Runner at second, 2 down. And a 1-2 pitch to Robertson. So he's making contact here with 2 strikes. Larry Rothschild pitched for the Detroit Tigers in a short major league career. Chicago native. Still 1-2 on Robertson. And it's Juan Pierre out in center. That is a 3rd out. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th from Wrigley Field. Detroit 4, Cubs 1. Your Mark Knopfler tickets. The Dire Straits lead man will be performing with special guest Emmylou Harris at the Charter One Pavilion on June 25th, thanks to the Bud Light concert series. Don't miss it. You can get tickets through Ticketmaster. Go online to Ticketmaster.com or call 312-559-1212. Good stuff. Bottom four. Strike from Robertson to Jones. A fastball registering at 90 miles an hour. Inside. Robertson 6-3 this year. Last year went 7-16. 3 years ago, Detroit went 43-119. But they and the Mets were the best record in baseball. The Mets have played two fewer games, but both teams 19 over 500. And pretty rare you have the White Sox rooting for the Cubs the next 9 games. Shelton will take it unassisted. Don't forget to check out our WGN baseball blog, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. The blog is packed today. Watch Adam Morrison take BP. I have a scouting report on the Tigers. The big redhead Rick Sutcliffe's Take Me Out to the Ballgame rendition. And a great photo gallery of the friendly confines with Jeffrey Zamarja before the ballgame. That's WGNTV.com. Thank you, Dunkin' Donuts. Are they talking to one another? So where are you? I'm at the game. Where are you? I'm at the game too. What section are you sitting in? Hit hard, but right at DN. So Cedeno lines out to his counterpart. Well, they may have been discussing the latest Len and Bob's podcast. Don't forget to check it out. Available at WGNTV.com. We will be taping a new podcast coming up on Sunday.
I've been preparing for that all week. Getting my notes together, potential subject matter. A lot of thought goes into those podcasts. That's not just something you fire off the hip.
Our regular host, our executive producer Bob Vorwald, back in the fold. Coming up on Sunday.
I understand the construction of our podcast studio is going well.
Just a few minor delays, but we're getting there. We've gotten a lot of emails about potential podcast gear that could be available, and we're working on that too. Guzman on deck. Blogs and podcasts. When you started on radio with Ron Santo, you didn't do any blogs.
No, we did not.
Way back when. Henry took that pitch.
Yeah, they didn't have blogs when I was managing the Diamondbacks either, which is probably a really, really good thing. People then just came out and verbally expressed what they would type on a blog.
Well, I can tell you one thing. We like Jim Leland, and we think he likes us, but he won't be checking out our blog, nor will he peruse our podcast. He's as old school as it gets, and I don't know if he would say proudly, but he has said that he doesn't even know how to turn a computer on. Google, goggle, he didn't even know what it was.
I'll tell you how old school Jim Leland is. He still wears metal cleats. He and Bobby Cox, the only two managers to the best of my knowledge that continue to wear the same cleats that the players do, which are not extremely comfortable shoes to wear. But he is not going to have a fingernail or toenail left on his body by the end of the summer.
Toenail?
Oh, he'll take his shoes. He'll take those cleats off if he has to. He's almost down to the bone now.
Another 3-2, pretty good battle. Henry to deep left field. This ball back, and it is gone. The red-hot Henry Blanco. First home run of the year. Both RBIs for the Cubs today. It's 4-2. Boy, a deep at bat. And eventually, on a 3-2, a home run to left.
Great at bat by Henry Blanco. One more look. That's a fastball up and out over the plate. Henry hooks it back to his pull field in left. Takes advantage of that gusting wind blowing straight out. Our Southwest.com. How far did it fly? 360 feet.
Now he had that big day on Friday. A week ago in Cincinnati, Cubs 6-5 win at 3 RBIs. Big play as he caught Felipe Lopez stealing in the 6th inning that night. And eventually he's going to play every day for upwards of 10 games. Michael Barrett had his appeal heard this morning, but as far as we know, he has not heard from MLB what the ultimate suspension will be, and may not find out today. It could be early next week. We're not quite sure. But when they tell us, we'll tell you. Guzman with a slow roller. And Polanco will throw him out. 2-out home run from Henry Blanco, and the Cubs down only 2. On the Milwaukee Brewers at 1:20 on Thursday, June 29th. And the first 20,000 will receive a scratch and win card. 100 random winners will receive an exclusive limited edition Wilson 8-2000 Youth Baseball Glove, compliments of Kellogg's. Fans are encouraged to hold on to their cards. 4 second chance drawings throughout the game. No purchase necessary. 4 complete rules. Visit Cubs.com. It's a great giveaway coming up toward the end of the month. Angel Guzman has come up aces so far in relief. No hits, a walk, no runs in 2 1/3. And the Cubs back in it, down 4-2. Granderson with a double and an RBI triple from the south side of Chicago. Think the cotton candy's going to make it without melting today? Cotton candy will probably survive anything.
I think so.
Nobody knows how to make it. It's just there. You'd almost rather not know what's in it. We know a lot of sugar. That's one of the ingredients. Maybe some food coloring.
I thought there were farms in Utah where they grew that on bushes with the old cotton candy bush.
3-1 on Granderson. He went to Illinois, Chicago. Double major. Business management and business marketing.
That'll probably come in handy as his career continues to progress.
Leadoff walk here in the 5th inning. All I've read about Curtis Granderson, everybody talks about what a hard worker he is, how polite he is. Jim Leyland has paid him a very high compliment, saying he prepares as well as any player he's ever had. Loves his work habits. Very conscientious. Leyland said, I've had better players, but this guy really wants to be the best.
Well, as a manager, that's all you can ask, is that a guy gets everything he can out of his own ability by being prepared physically and mentally.
A pitch out. Granderson was not moving. Throw sending Granderson back to first. 4 out of 8 in stolen base attempts.
His last couple of stolen base attempts have been deeper in the count. One came on a 1-1 count, another on a 2-2 count. But with Blanco at the plate, a hit and run is a possibility at any count.
The contact, Bob, I was just going to say, at one point Blanco won 186 plate appearances between walks.
He puts the ball in play. He's an ideal #2 hitter. He bunts well. He hits the ball to the right side well. Has a pretty good eye for the strike zone. Isn't afraid to hit with 2 strikes. Those are all traits you love to see in a #2 hitter. Very unselfish. Will take pitches to give Granderson opportunities to steal a base.
Next pitch is fouled away down along the right field line. That's the kind of day when your starter gets pulled in the 2nd inning. If you are in the bullpen, there's a pretty good chance you're going to pitch at some point. Yesterday we saw Howery, Air, and Novoa. Guzman has done a nice job now into the 5th. He came in the 2nd. Nervous energy maybe from Curtis Granderson.
Playing that invisible guitar out there as he takes his lead off first base. I mean, it's obviously something he feels comfortable doing. I don't see where it's it's to any advantage or serves any useful purpose, but whatever floats your boat, Curtis.
And a balk has been called on Guzman.
You could see Guzman just ever so slightly started to go into his set position and then stopped. Once you start that motion, you have to continue or break contact with the rubber with your right foot.
Base hit to right. Granderson will head home, and Jock Jones will throw towards second. And it's 5-2. So the balk hurts Angel Guzman. Blanco picking up his 25th RBI.
Well, you know, Jim Leland loves to see this. Blanco with the inside out swing. At worst, he was going to move Granderson to third base right there with a ball hit to the right side. At best, he finds grass in right field and drives home a run. I've said it so many times. If you try to do the right thing in a situation, more often than not, you're going to get good results. Polanco's only goal was to move Granderson to third base somehow with a ball hit to the right side. He got lucky, hit a line drive down the right field line for an RBI.
So the deficit now 3 once again. And here's Ramirez. Hit a sac fly in the opening inning, struck out swinging in the third. The strikeout was against Guzman. And there's another hit. First and second. First 2 hits allowed by Guzman. That domino effect that we often talk about when you get a real short outing from your starter, not only does it tax the bullpen, but you have to use a guy like Guzman for maybe more than you would like. And instead of getting him out after 2 1/3 scoreless innings, you have to stretch him a little bit. And now all of a sudden he's given up a run. But you don't have that luxury to go an inning per pitcher when your starter doesn't get through the second.
That's why most teams choose to have a converted starter in that bullpen. In the event that you do have a starter that gets blown up early in the game, you do have an option to go to. But as you mentioned, sometimes you have to extend him past the point of effectiveness and just hope that he can get the outs he needs to get.
Topped off the plate, going to be a tough play for Ramirez, but he makes it as he gets Ordonez at first. That's out number 1. Second and third now.
Chopper off home plate by Ordonez, bounces high in the air. Nice play by Rami to keep his momentum going while he found the grip on that baseball and threw across in time to get Ordonez. Good strong off balance throw right on the money.
Now as a manager, when you're there in the second or the third inning, we get the alignment here. The infield's going to come in at the edge of the grass against Guillen. 1 out in the inning. Polanco at third, Rodriguez at second, and fouled away. When you're in the second or third, do you look ahead and say, okay, if I can get Angel through the fifth, then I can maybe go Novoa in the sixth? Do you map it out that far in advance if you can?
You think that way. You never really map it out because, as we've come to discover this season, things change rather quickly out there, and your best laid plans can go to waste in a hurry. But I'm sure ideally that's what they were thinking. You know, he's already had 2 at-bats in this ball game.
Pop foul, bullpen, and it'll drop untouched.
I mean, not that you're worried about how many at-bats your pitcher gets, but you pitch enough innings to get him through 3 at-bats in a ball game, which would get you probably into the maybe into the 6th, 7th inning at some point, and then go to the bullpen and hope somebody can come in there and finish it up by themselves.
He would love a strikeout here. He has 5 already. Here he comes, and he gets number 6. 2 outs. Still not out of it, but a big strikeout. Guillen is fanned 3 times.
A good pitch for Guzman, just pounding the edges of the strike zone. Now, we talked about the narrow strike zone of Bill Welke early in the game, not criticizing his strike zone. It is what it is, and everybody knows it, but Guzman has been able to scoot it over just enough to get some of those called strikes and some swinging strikes on borderline pitches that Glendon Rush was not able to. Example right there.
Thames homered to lead off the second. The 0-1 pitch. Outside. (5-2) Detroit in the fifth. Game one of a three-game Father's Day weekend series. Popped him up. Left side. Ramirez will catch it in fair ground. Tigers get one. They lead two. It's 5-2. Thousand adults will receive a Cubs keychain compliments of Office Max. 5-2. Cubs have scored twice against Nate Robertson, making his Wrigley debut. That's the case for all three Detroit starting pitchers this weekend. Fireballer Justin Verlander tomorrow, and then Kenny Rogers, who did spend part of '99 with the Mets and came here that year but did not pitch. Rogers will make his Wrigley Field debut, and he's sitting on 199 career wins. Justin Verlander is from Virginia, and Sean Marshall knows him well. They played together as kids, and Sean told me today when Verlander was 12, he was throwing 80. Chop towards second, and it's Blanco with the short throw over to Shelton. How about little leaguers at 80?
That's what a scout would say. He has a projectable arm at 12. If he's throwing 80 miles an hour, you got to figure as he gets a little bigger and a little stronger, he's going to jump up a little bit.
That already gets him into within shouting distance of Moyer and Maddox. Brian Lawrence, who's on the DL, but not a guy who normally throws very hard. Mark Redmond. Guys who throw that slow can get guys out, as Greg Maddux has proven for a long time. 1-1 on Walker. Breaking ball strike. Cubs are in 5th in the National League Central. 13 out. Cardinals leading the way at the moment. 2.5 up on Cincinnati. The Mets have won 8 in a row. They're 9.5 ahead of their nearest competitor in the National League East. That's the Phillies. The Mets are the only team currently over the break-even point in the National League East. Every team in the West is above 500. You have 5 clubs, Bob, all separated by a grand total of 2 games in the West.
That's really remarkable. The Dodgers are 6 over in first place. The Giants 2 over in last place, only 2 games out. Parity.
Sweden fan. World Cup going on. Another one pulled foul on the ground. Let's pause briefly for station ID. The Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays all within a game in the AL East. Detroit again leading the White Sox by a game and a half. That's a 2-horse race at the moment. Twins have played better, but they're still 3 under. And they're 11 out along with Cleveland. Tight in the American League West. Texas a half game back of Oakland. Seattle and the Angels both just 5 out. Walker foul tipped into the glove of Rodriguez, and that's a strikeout. And it's also the first one today for the lefty Robertson.
Like a slider from Robertson, down low and away. Walker just tips it off the very end of the bat. Pudge is able to hold on back there behind the dish. Ball hits up near the heel of the glove, but stays in.
We talked about the Peoria Chiefs earlier. Scott Williamson did throw an inning for Peoria at Kane County last night. Gave up a run. But assuming Scott feels good today, he will be set for back-to-back outings with Iowa this weekend. So he could be nearing the end of his DL stint. You see Robertson chomping on the gum. He started something a few weeks ago. Put an entire pack of Big League Chew in his mouth as kind of a rally starter. Guess he did it for fun in their dugout, and the Tigers started to come back, so that's become their thing. Swing and a miss. 2-1.
Whatever it takes. If you believe it helps, then it helps.
Over 80 pitches on the day for Robertson. And on the hands that time. 2-2.
When you can hit your spots as well as Robertson has in this ball game today, he just jammed Ramirez with an 89-mile-an-hour fastball. Now, obviously, there are a lot of guys in the major leagues that throw much harder than that, and we know Rami can handle a good major league fastball, but after seeing off-speed pitches off the plate away, sinking fastballs off the plate away, you can sneak an 89-mile-an-hour fastball in on the hands of a good hitter.
Just foul past third. By the way, if I didn't clarify, Big League Chew is bubble gum.
Bubble gum.
Just to make sure if there are people out there who didn't know what I was talking about. You put an entire pack of that stuff in your mouth, you could blow a bubble. It'd be as big as your head. Another 2-2 pitch is popped up. And it'll be caught by Chris Shelton. That is a 1-2-3 inning, the first such inning for Robertson. Ridgeline game summary. Curtis Granderson from the Chicago area. First game at Wrigley, and he has been terrific today. Marcus Thames with a home run. Short outing for Glendon Rush. A home run, 2 ribbies for Henry Blanco. Honda Ridgeline, the 2006 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. See it today at your Honda dealer. Guzman dealing now in the 6th inning. And gets the bottom of the Tiger order, which looks different than it normally would, because they cannot use the designated hitter today. At the bottle of water, that's not a bad idea. Personal fans all over the ballpark.
If you look ahead to the bottom half of the 6th inning, the pitcher spot is due up 6th for the Cubs. And depending on how many pitches it takes Guzman to get out of this inning, Dusty may choose to take him out regardless of whether we get to that pitcher spot or not. I think it really just hinges on pitch count at this point, how far they would like to extend Guzman. He's up to the 60 pitch mark since coming in the 2nd inning.
Pretty clean numbers, 40 for strikes. 2-2 on the way, and it's now a full count on Chris Shelton, the first baseman. Inge, and then the pitcher spot, Robertson. Great shot from high atop the scoreboard. Out in center is Jones, drifts and makes a catch. Shelton lines out. Back to our Honda Ridgeline game summary. Henry Blanco knocked in a run in the 2nd inning, and then in the 4th hit a home run. Made it 4-2 at the time. It's now 5-2, and Henry getting set at some point soon to play a lot when Michael Barrett serves his suspension.
And he's getting hot at the right time. Looking forward to that regular playing time when Barrett goes on the suspended list. Over his last 4 games, Henry is 6 for 11 with 6 RBI and the home run that we saw him hit earlier here today.
Cubs will have to play a man short when Barrett is out. And it will be interesting to see roster-wise if they make any changes. Do you just go with Blanco and a guy like Phil Nevin and an emergency catcher John Mabry as the backups, or do you make a move and bring up a minor league backstop to back up Henry Blanco?
And if you do make that move to bring up a minor league catcher to back up Henry, do you send down another position player, or if your pitching is in good shape, do you go a pitcher down?
Now, that is not an easy decision. Check swing foul.
Which is why you always wait till the last possible minute to make that decision. I mean, you may have a game plan in your mind as an organization. Dusty and Larry Rothschild and Jim Hendry may have considered what they're going to do when that suspension comes down, but as you get closer to that actual time, maybe your bullpen has been overtaxed and you can't afford to send a pitcher out for another position player. Or the other could be true. You've gotten some long outings from your starters. You haven't had to use your bullpen very much. They're in pretty good shape, so maybe you would feel comfortable going a man down in the bullpen during the suspension.
2-2, and it's filled up once again. Well, then you go back to the Kerry Wood situation. Mark Pryor soon to come off the DL. How many innings will you get out of those guys when they're both back in the rotation? That affects your pitching staff. That affects your decision on when Barrett is suspended. That ball hit very hard. Pierre can't quite get it. And Brandon Inge stops at second with a double.
It's taken the Tigers a while to find a full-time position for Brandon Inge. He seems to have settled in down there at third base, but they've never questioned his bat. Not only does he get a hit, he tips his cap before he leaves the batter's box. smoked that ball to straightaway center field. I don't think that was high enough to be affected very much by the wind here today. Just a line drive, short hop in the wall and center.
Into center off the bat of Robertson. Pierre lays out, makes a catch. Nicely done by Juan Pierre, robbing Robertson of what would have been his first major league hit.
Know who your hitter is at the plate and know what they're likely to do. Juan Pierre got a great jump on this little floating line drive into shallow center. Nice sliding catch coming in. Tough play for a center fielder diving straight in for a ball, but Juan's able to get the glove underneath and hang on. Get the ball back in quickly. Don't allow Inge an opportunity to go back and tag up.
Got to find a way to retire Granderson. Double, triple, a walk, 2 runs, and an RBI. He came in 0 for his last 9, but he's 2 for 2 on the afternoon. There's an open stance and left-handed batter's box. David Artsma playing catch at the moment. The Tigers were just here last week in Chicago playing the White Sox. They'll come here a total of 4 times this year, 3 times to play the Sox. This is always a great stop. You talk to players, anybody in a traveling party, they love coming to Chicago. So I don't think the Tigers mind coming here 4 times.
Which is all the more reason that it's surprising that the Cubs haven't done better here at home this year. You get visiting teams to come to Chicago, there is no shortage of things to do in this town at night, and occasionally you can catch those visiting players a little under the weather the next day, but it certainly hasn't translated into any victories for the home team.
By the way, we had alluded to Tiger Stadium earlier. There is a report that that ballpark will be demolished, and they're going to apparently make way for some homes and some stores, a plan that will also save a part of Tiger Stadium. I guess a portion of the field will be used as a Little League diamond. Granderson walks, so he's on for the 4th time. Third walk yielded by Guzman, and here comes Dusty. Got everything you could get out of Angel Guzman. 76 pitches in 4 innings of work. 5-2 Detroit. Will be back. You rarely see Dusty go out in the middle of a game and not take the pitcher out. So he's going to give the rookie right-hander a chance against Blanco. 1st and 2nd, 2 away, and the pitch. Ball 1.
You have to believe that Angel Guzman said the right words to talk himself into this ball game. Maybe told Dusty, I can get this last out here, and certainly it would be a big out. I mentioned the pitcher spot due up 6th next inning for the Cubs. I'd like to see Guzman get through this inning. Give you the option of picking your pinch hitter for that pitcher spot in the next half inning. Or if you don't get there, you have to double switch probably at that point, because you want multiple innings out of the next pitcher out of the bullpen as well.
We should reiterate that, you know, he's been stretched out today, but he's a starter. So throwing this amount of pitches is not a big deal for Guzman. But what it does mean is he won't be available tomorrow, and probably not Sunday either. You almost treat this like a start. In fact, he's thrown a lot more pitches than Glendon Rush did. Glendon threw 54 in an inning and 2/3. Blanco pulls it to left. Merton will catch it. And that's probably it for Guzman. 4 1/3, 1 run. Cubs trail 5-2. Cubs some innings, and he did. 4 1/3, 80 pitches, 3 hits, 1 run. Bottom 6. Ball 1 low to Phil Nevin. Robertson's 1-0. Now 2-0. A hitter's count on the Cubs first baseman Phil Nevin.
One thing we've seen from Robertson through the early going, no guarantee you're going to get a fastball in a good hitter's count, however. Did get one that time.
But that's kind of an American League twist, isn't it? A little bit.
A little bit. It used to be. I mean, the old cliche was National League was very much a fastball slider league. American League was more of a changeup, curveball, you know, kind of pitching backwards if you fall behind in the count. Throw off speed pitches if you get ahead in the count. Then you bust them inside with fastballs. But, you know, much like with the homogenization of the umpires and the player movement from team to team, that's not a rule that necessarily holds true anymore.
Second walk issued. While we have a moment, let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Wind blowing out today. It has shifted just a bit, blowing out toward left and left center. Way up in the air off the bat of Matt Merton. And it's caught Polanco, even if he hadn't caught it, he would have gotten an out at second because Nevin really couldn't go anywhere.
Ball hit a mile in the air. You see what the outfielders and infielders going out after a pop-up are looking up into. That hazy high sky. Polanco lost it momentarily, but then finds it again, keeps his feet moving, and makes the running catch.
That's the kind of jog that you almost fall down from leaning, trying to go get it. Off the corner. Jock with 2 hits on the homestand, a home run and a double. The double coming in his first at bat today. Fastball at 89 on the outer half. I'll send a shout out to Zachary Believa watching Cubs baseball today from Los Angeles. Big Cub fan on the West Coast. Hit hard to short. Guillen gets the out at second. Polanco the relay in time to get Jock Jones. That ends the 6th inning for the Cubs. We'll go to the 7th. Detroit leads by 3. Time now for our Bud Light fan cam. Detroit Power Poppers, the Romantics, getting bluesy on us. Came here to see them win. Well, we keep kicking Angel Guzman out of the game, and here he is.
He refuses to leave.
He's still in. We're into the 7th. That great track, Devil in Me, from Romantics album that came out a few years ago, 61-49. Pudge Rodriguez takes one low and outside. The Detroit rock scene, pretty big these days. White Stripes and company, the Detroit Cobras, Dirt Bombs, Eminem,
Kid Rock.
Yeah. Will Oman's into all those bands, and he's getting loose. 1-1 on Pudge Rodriguez.
I'll tell you who else is into all those bands from Detroit are the people from the Windscape Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Wheaton. It's a Chicago Cubs day. I know they're tuned in. Probably rocking out between innings. Have a great day.
Two and one on Pudge. And the pitch fouled off.
Little nacho poaching there. It's good. You get the kid to get the guy in the middle holding the nachos to look at the baby, and then the guy next to him snags his nachos.
Yep.
It's a good move.
I like nachos, but on a day like this, when you have to drink a lot of water, that kind of adds to the intake.
Well, one good thing is the cheese won't get all stiff and crispy because it'll stay melted in this weather. Not letting that knee injury bother him one bit.
No. Swung on and missed, a strikeout. Guzman tying his career high. Melts in your hands and in your mouth on a day like this.
A good fastball from Guzman. He has really been impressive in this ball game today. Called on under the most adverse of conditions and has just come in there and continued to pound strikes. Blows a fastball by a pretty good fastball hitter. That would be nachos and cheese. C-H-E-E-Z. I almost didn't recognize Maglio Ordonez with his new hair. Didn't know who that was down on the field. All the curls and the waves hanging out behind his hat.
Similar to the Cubs' 5th round pick, Jeff Samardzija, trying to become a two-sports star, right-handed pitcher and a football wide receiver.
I had a chance to talk to Jeffrey down in the clubhouse after his side session today. You see him talking with Larry Rothschild there earlier this afternoon. I mentioned the fact that we had a chance to visit with Coach Weiss last week. He came up here to sing the 7th inning stretch, and he said, yeah, I wish you hadn't have told him about keeping us busy, that we had so much time we could take up a second sport.
Way to go.
But what a look you see on the face of these young guys just coming out of the draft and just full of wonder and excitement and anticipation for what their career holds for them. He just looked like a kid in a candy shop today.
Got him. Called strike 3. Number 8 for Guzman.
A knee buckling curveball on the 2-strike count here from Guzman. Right down the heart of the plate. You may see Henry reach back to his left to catch that pitch only because he's set up on the outside corner. No argument from Ordonez. He knew he was fooled.
2 down in the inning, and it's Carlos Guillen. I guess Samardzija's family, they came up in the press box, went up to the roof. Trying to get the aerial view here at Wrigley. The Peoria Chiefs, they were all excited. They took a clubhouse tour. They were asking their manager, can we shag during BP? Not today, but they love coming to Wrigley. Do you have any tattoos? I know it's a personal question, but just curious if you want to answer.
I have some bruises that never fully went away, but never a tattoo.
Okay. 1-1 just outside, so you could get a tattoo over the bruise, and that would always remind you, although you probably don't need to.
A couple of the bruises look like animals, so I could probably get away with calling them tattoos. How about you?
Nope. Not a 1.
Those were all natural freckles. I
Yes.
thought maybe you had those put on.
No. They come and they go. It's Merton down that left field line. Guzman may finish a game. I don't know at this point.
He might start tomorrow's game,
He might start tomorrow as well. 7th inning stretch time.
Please welcome the radio voices of the Cubs, Robertson, Pat Hughes.
All right, fans, this is all for you. So let me hear you. Pat and I'll help you out a little bit. A 1, a 2, a 3.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack.
I don't care if I ever get back.
Root for the Cubs. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Yeah, let me get some runs now.
Sure. Underway here, bottom 7. A 2-0 count on Ronnie Cedeno. Good job by Pat and Ron. With our 7th inning stretch today. 5-2 Detroit. Hit in the air, out into left center. And it's Thames gliding over. Well, today, Pat Hughes and Ron Santo autographed Baseball Day. First 20,000 fans through the gates received a scratch and win card. 500 random winners got an authentic autographed Pat and Ron baseball. Second chance drawings, of course, throughout the game for additional winners. Pop foul back our way off the bat of Henry Blanco. Okay, I think we're about as close as you can get to officially saying Angel Guzman is done, because Freddie Bynum is in the on-deck circle in Guzman's spot. Angel with 5 1/3 innings, 1 run.
I'm not going to write it in my book quite yet. I've done that twice already and had to erase it, so I'll wait until it's official.
Okay.
But what a great job by Angel in this ball game today, and certainly you have to think that the performance he put up today is going to change the way people in that third base dugout look at Guzman for the future.
'96 pitches in relief. 0-2 pitch. Henry hanging in. 2 hits, a single, a home run, and 2 RBIs. Accounting for all the Cubs offense at this point. Overall, they have 4 hits. The other 2 belong to Jock Jones and Todd Walker.
Caught up watching Angel Guzman with an outstanding performance, and Nate Robertson just quietly going about his business.
Blanco with his 3rd hit. Henry doing it all. After a very slow start this year, he is now 7 for his last 12.
Another pitch out over the plate. This time it's down. He goes down and golfs it back into left field. That's good to see. With Pudge Rodriguez behind the plate for the Tigers, Henry Blanco for the Cubs, two of the best defensive catchers in the game. And Henry flexing his muscles offensively here today.
Okay, now even though Guzman's out of the game and Bynum's hit for him, there's no way he can continue, right?
I don't think so.
We've looked at every corner of the rule book. What a performance in relief. Now, a cynic out there might say, well, if you just had started Guzman, would have been fine. But here's the thing. The mental part of this game is very interesting. There has been an occasion or two where a manager has not told a guy he was starting until an hour or two before the game. Angel didn't go to bed last night thinking he was going to throw 5 1/3 today. So you can't sit here and say if he had started, the Cubs would be leading 2-1.
No guarantees whatsoever. I mean, sometimes if a guy knows he's starting the next day, he counts the cracks in the ceiling all night, can't get to sleep, and doesn't bring his A game the next day when he's expected to go out there and pitch. But when you show up at the ballpark just expecting to go to the bullpen and pitch if you're needed, and suddenly you find yourself in the ball game, you don't have an opportunity to think very much. You just go out there on the field and let your natural ability take over, trust in your catcher to call the right pitches, and let it go.
Bynum strikes out. Back to the top, and Juan Pierre. Pierre second in the big leagues with 1,045 hits since the start of the 2001 season. Only Ichiro has more, 1,236. Pierre went past Albert Pujols recently. Pujols, of course, is on the disabled list.
How about Ichiro? 106 base hits in 68 games.
In the hole on the right side, and Polanco got rid of it in a hurry against the speedy Juan Pierre. A hit, no runs. 8th inning is right around the corner from Wrigley. Ignition on WGN and WCIU Channel 26, sponsored by Comcast. Tigers and Cubs, game 3 of this set on Sunday, 1 o'clock leadoff man time here on WGN. Cards and the White Sox coming up Wednesday, 7 o'clock on WCIU. Brewers and Cubs Tuesday, June 27th at 7 on WCIU. All in beautiful HD, sponsored by Comcast. David Aardsma is in. And not only did Guzman give the Cubs a lot of quality, but a lot of quantity, and saving maybe 2 or 3 extra guys, getting the Cubs into the 8th inning. Great day to sail. I wonder what the temperature is out on the lake today. Sure, it's a little bit cold in the lake. A nice breeze working today. Big swing by Thames. 2-1. Extended his hit streak to 9 with a home run in the second. Two, now 3-2. $40,683 in the friendly confines. So looking at the week, Cubs have been over 40 3 times. The left-hander is Tyler Walker. Joel Zumaya is the righty. Lofted right center. Jones will leap, and he made the catch. Jock Jones took away extra bases. And Thames out on a terrific catch. Jock's had some throwing problems this year, but he has shown a lot of range and has made 2 really nice catches today.
Boy, it does not shy away from the vines whatsoever on this ball. Crashes hard into the bricks out there that are underneath those vines. Manages to hang on to that ball. Boy, that was a nice catch. He had a long way to run to get to that ball.
Nothing at 1 on Chris Shelton.
That was a veteran move on Jock's part too. You notice he let Juan Pierre throw the ball back into the infield. Gives him an extra second to regroup out there. He probably was taking inventory, making sure all his body parts were where they were supposed to be.
Now see, he's a giver. Not being selfish with the fan.
Send him up here.
But I thought you liked it hot. The hotter the better, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm not complaining. It's hot just the way I like it.
Little shade with the glove. You're listening to Pat and Ron today. Summer is not officially here yet, but we're close.
It's always fun to sing into the fan.
Robertson has been impressive today, holding the Cubs to 2 runs through 7 on just 5 hits. Aardsma's 2-2 and a full count.
You've seen the last two pitches go high and out at the strike zone for Ardsma. He's just dropping his elbow a little bit, not in the normal slot that he usually pitches from.
Struck him out. So he fans Shelton. The Chicago Cubs strongly encourage the use of public transportation. The CTA Red Line stops directly at Wrigley Field at the Addison Station. For night and weekend games, fans that do drive should take advantage of the remote parking operation, which offers parking and a remote shuttle bus at DeVry University. That's near Addison and Rockwell for $6. You can call the CTA hotline for more details at 773-836-7000 or visit Cubs.com. There is air conditioning on the bus, we're told. Popped up by Brandon Inge. It's Todd Walker, a 1-2-3/8 inning for David Ardsma. Cubs trail by 3. Walker will lead it off when we come back. Tyler Walker earlier. It's Jamie Walker, the left-hander. So yet another southpaw against the Cubs here today. Numbers 4 Walker on the season.
Pretty much a situational left-hander. Has a crossfire delivery, kind of drops down from the side. His fastball will tail back into a left-handed hitter. Big sweeping breaking ball across the plate to the lefties. Mix in some change-ups to the right-handed hitters.
Alexis Gomez is now playing left. Walker versus Walker. And if he walks him, that would be appropriate, I suppose.
Well, he can get wild on occasion because of that crossfire delivery, the low arm angle. That big sweeping breaking ball is tough for him to keep in the strike zone. The book against Walker has always been to make him throw strikes.
Big swing by Todd. One, two on the way. Sweeps outside. Walker gets a sign from Rodriguez. Kick and the pitch. Inge over toward the tarp. About 4 rows in.
After playing at Comerica Park, this has to feel like playing in somebody's backyard for these Tigers.
Boy, that's a great point. That is as spacious a park as there is in the game today.
A lot of foul territory. The fences were really, really deep. They've moved them in. It's still a wide open ballpark there in Detroit.
No swing, according to Field and Culbreth.
Take a look. You be the umpire. I think he held up. And so does Field and Culbreth, and he's the only one who matters.
Another foul. Count is at the brink at 3-2. Ramirez and Nevin next. It's kind of our view. Jim Tianis, the handheld camera here from our broadcast position high atop Wrigley. Fly ball left field. Gomez, who just came in. 1 out. Hey, July 9th, the second annual Hey Dad Want to Have a Catch event takes place here at Wrigley Field. WGN TV, Fidelity Investments, and the Cubs offer this unique chance to treat your dad to a game of catch on the Wrigley Field turf. It would make a great Father's Day gift. Don't forget Father's Day coming up this Sunday. Tickets are on sale now, 773-404-CUBS for more information. That's always a great event. Joel Zumaya, right-hander, is in. We're out, but we'll be right back. From Joel Zumaya.
Well, I've been anxiously looking forward to seeing this young man along with the Verlander pitch. They're supposed to throw the ball really, really hard.
I guess he hit 102 on the gun. That one in 98, but last weekend against Toronto, 102 miles an hour.
Not loose yet. 98 just warming up.
Ramirez cranks one deep left center field. This ball back out of here. 5-3. No matter how hard you throw, normally a major league hitter can catch up to it. And Ramirez takes Zumaya deep. 2-run game. That's his 11th.
This comes on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball inside corner at the knees. You said it right, Len. It doesn't matter how hard you throw it. If you miss your location against a major league hitter, especially a guy with power like Ramirez, they can make you pay.
Inge will cut it off and throw out Nevin for out number 2.
for that pitch down and into a right-handed hitter when they could just fire that bat hit down through the strike zone. Our Southwest.com, how far did it fly? 373 feet.
Trainer's out with Jim Leland, checking on catcher Rodriguez.
Looks like Pudge is saying he's okay. Not sure exactly what the problem is. Obviously, it's a very hot, humid day here today. Losing a lot of fluids behind home plate. He's insisting that he's all right.
Pudge has had some back spasms this year. Not sure if that's what it was. So the pitch now to Matt Merton. 99 and in tight. The other gun here at Wrigley read 100. So I guess we have the slow one at 99. Breaking ball, strike. Got the batting helmet on. The bat, the glove. He has everything he needs. Called strike 3. As Zumaya painted at 95. Ramirez hits a home run. The Cubs' second home run of the day. It's now 5-3. In the ninth inning, Cubs have trailed all afternoon after Detroit got 2 in the first, 2 more in the second. Tigers are within striking distance here late. And one of the keys will be Will Ullman working a scoreless ninth. He'll try to do that, facing a left-handed hitter, Alexis Gomez. Ramirez with a home run, the second one for the Cubs. Blanco went deep earlier. Both solo shots. Nothing in 2. Good slider.
Been nearly 2 weeks since Ramirez hit his last home run against Mark Mulder down in St. Louis. That was on the 3rd. They say they come in bunches, so hopefully that's the first of many for Aramis. Cubs could certainly use his power bat in the lineup.
Novoa up for the Cubs, and the Tigers have their closer getting loose, Todd Jones. Bounding ball and a nice hop for Ronnie Cedeno. Boy, Gomez runs well. He just got him.
Look at Gomez trying to leg out an infield hit here. Little bouncer to the left side. Ronnie has to back up to play that big hop and then realizes better get it over there in a hurry. Tim McClellan, the first base umpire, thought the Cubs got him. Gonzalez, or rather Gomez, has had some big stolen base seasons in the minors. One step too many over there by Ronnie makes it a close play at first base, but they get the call.
Fifth plate appearance for Curtis Granderson. Top of the hour once again. Let's pause for ID. Line shot to right. Jones with a catch. Granderson out for the first time. For the first time today, the Linwood resident heads back into the dugout after his at bat.
It wasn't an easy out. Smoked that ball into right field. Jock Jones froze in his tracks and then had to go down to a knee to catch it as that line drive started to sink as it got closer to him.
Now with Todd Jones up, he has had some struggles. Their setup guys have had terrific seasons. Fernando Rodney. We've seen Zumaya. Jim Leland has pretty much stuck with Todd Jones.
Definitely the most veteran pitcher they have in their bullpen. Not a lot of secrets to Todd Jones. He's going to throw a sinker and a cutter, an occasional curveball, but when push comes to shove and he needs to make a big pitch, you're probably going to see a cut fastball.
Todd Jones had a great line the other day after a recent blown save. He said he slept like a baby, woke up every 2 hours crying. Which is I'm sure a line you've heard before, but very appropriate for a big league closer. Three balls and a strike on Polanco. Looking to the bottom of the ninth, Jones, Daniel, and normally you would think about Barrett pinch hitting for Blanco, but I don't think so today. Henry 3 hits, including a home run. We've seen that many times. When Michael doesn't start, he gets that late pinch hit at bat for Henry Blanco. Possible we could see it today, but Henry's been the Cubs' best hitter all afternoon. Polanco walks, which is not something he does a whole lot. It is the 6th time he's walked all year.
And looking at the numbers against Todd Jones for the Cubs offensively, Michael Barrett 3 for 4 lifetime. Henry Blanco has not seen him. John Mabry, who's available off the bench today, 5 for 7 with a home run and 2 doubles against the Tigers closer. Tony Womack, another possible pinch hitter today, 4 for 9 lifetime against Jones. So some good options for Dusty Baker to pinch hit in the ninth.
Well, it looks like whatever was bothering Pudge Rodriguez was too much for him to bat. Veteran backup Vance Wilson is hitting for Pudge.
It's funny, as we analyze possible pinch hitters in the ninth inning for the Cubs, you look at the Tigers. Alexis Gomez, who came in to play left field, leads the Tigers with 3 pinch hit at bats this season.
Life of the American League.
Yeah,
huh?
really. If you're not starting, you might as well just pull up a seat cushion and enjoy a ball game. John Mabry, on the other hand, with 24 pinch hit at bats for the Cubs. That's a different ball game.
Oof. Yeah, you probably found that out in your brief stay in Toronto. A very different game. You spent most of your career in the National League. And the thing is, for a backup catcher, you're not going to get a lot of pinch hit at bats in the National League. Then you go to the American League and you get a rare one like Wilson today because we assume, Rodriguez not batting with whatever bothered him in the previous inning on defense. Pulled foul.
Vance Wilson, a guy that had some time in the National League with the Mets, real good catch and throw backup catcher, very similar to Henry Blanco in that respect. Any offense you get from him is strictly a bonus, but really handles the pitching staff well, throws well. Caught 40% of the runners attempting to steal this season. Pudge at 44%. Solid tandem behind the plate for the Tigers.
Holman kicks and fires. Count holds at 1-2. We'll look at the runner, now the pitch. Another foul, pretty similar swing from Wilson. We'll be back with you on Sunday for the finale of this series. We know it'll be Kenny Rogers for Detroit. Cubs have Sean Marshall penciled in, but it potentially could be Mark Pryor. We should know after the ball game. This is going to be trouble. And a base hit. So first and third. Well, Ullman hoping that 2-out walk doesn't come back to bite him. He walked Polanco and then gives up the single to Wilson.
Pretty good at bat by the Tigers' backup catcher. Fouled off a couple of tough pitches. Waited until he got one he could drive out into that right field corner. This is Polanco around to third base. I would guess a pitching change here. Go to the right-hander to face Ordonez. He's a good hitter against righties or lefties. Doesn't really make a lot of difference to him. .313 against righties, .284 against lefties. Pick your poison.
We're going to see a double switch. John Mabry will replace Matt Merton, and Roberto Novoa will spell Will Ullman. 5-3 in the ninth. We'll be right back. WGN. John Mabry in to play left and put in the 9th spot in the order. And Roberto Novoa is on the pitch. He would hit 6th. Matt Merton made the final out of the 8th inning. 1st and 3rd for Detroit with Ordonez at the plate. Roberto pitched yesterday, got the final out of the 9th inning. Jason Lane to fly to center, hoping to face just one hitter today. Blanco representing the Tigers' 6th run. Chopper hit to short. They get the out at second. Walker covering, accepting the throw from Cedeno. Last chance for the Cubs. They trail by a pair. Consecutive loss. Got swept by Houston to start this homestand, and they trail by 2 here in the 9th today. Todd Jones, a veteran closer, is attempting to pick up his 18th save. You see the bloated ERA. He's given up a lot of hits. We had Walker against Walker in the 8th and Jones against Jones here in the 9th. Vance Wilson stays in.
Todd Jones in his first 18 outings this year had an ERA of just over 3, but over his last 7 outings, 15.5. Mentioned sinker, cutter, curveball pitcher. You won't see the curveball very often. He'll drop one in occasionally, but basically relies on a sinking fastball and a cut fastball.
Big swing by Jock, 2 strikes. Big 40 save season with Florida last year for Jones. And back with the Tigers again. One-two pitch. He struck him out swinging. The producer of Cubs baseball on WGN Sports is Pete Toma. Our director is Skip Ellison. Mark Brady our associate producer, the executive producer of WGN Sports and podcast host Bob Vorwall. Thanks as well to our stage manager Angie Adocchio, our studio coordinator back at WGN Jeff Carrier, and our great crew here at Wrigley Field. Welcome to our new production assistant, Loyal Walker. We're told he's a very loyal employee. Swing and a miss. Apparently Loyal thought it was a night game tonight.
Got the bad schedule.
Got here a little late, but that's one thing you'll learn very quickly, especially Fridays. No night games on Fridays. Jones throwing a lot of strikes here in the ninth. Busted bat, ground ball. And it's Guillen to get it to Shelton, 2 away. Down to their final chance, it's Henry Blanco.
Henry Blanco with a big offensive day. Very few offensive highlights on the day for the Cubs. RBI grounder his first at bat. Solo homer in the 4th inning. Then another single to left field in the 7th. A perfect 3-for-3 day for Henry Blanco.
Cubs trying to avoid going 14 under for the first time this year. And now 26-39. Just one base runner would put the tying run at the plate. Tiger fans being heard here at Wrigley. Cub fans trying to drown them out. Mabry would bat next. Still 0-2. You think about the changes the Tigers have made as far as bringing in veterans. The two main guys, Jones and Rogers, Kenny Rogers. But a lot of their young guys have stepped up. They have put together a great start. Off the corner, 1-2. Todd Jones wanted that call, and I think just apologized to Bill Welke for his reaction.
You can see maybe a ball off the outside corner. Jones kind of looks in, and Welke indicates the pitch was a good foot off the plate. It wasn't that far outside.
New life for Blanco. The next pitch. That one away again.
Well, that one was about a foot off the plate.
Blanco bounces it up the middle. Guillen cuts it off, and that's it. So Todd Jones works a clean 9th inning, and the Cubs have not won on this homestand. They had lost 4 in a row after winning the last 3 on the last road trip. Cubs are 12-18 through 30 home games here in 2006. So the Tigers take game 1 of this series, 5-3 to final. We'll have more from Wrigley Field in a moment.